It was past midnight at a quiet roadside motel. The kind of place where no one asks questions. A small hand slid a crumpled note under a stranger's door, and everything changed. He thought it was just another night on the road. Another nameless town. Another cheap motel with a neon sign that buzzed louder than the crickets outside. Luke Bennett had seen enough lonely nights to stop counting. The kind of nights that made a man remember too much. The desert was quiet that evening, too quiet, like the air itself was holding its breath. Luke checked into room 14, tossed his worn leather bag on the chair, and sat by the window with a cigarette he didn't light. He told himself he was just passing through. He didn't know that a few doors down, someone was praying for a miracle. It started around 11:30 p.m. A thud. A woman's voice. Then a child's cry. Luke froze. He knew that sound, the sound of someone losing hope. He waited, thinking maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. Motels like this saw their share of bad nights. Then something slid under his door. A torn piece of motel stationery, written in blue crayon, smudged by tiny fingers. 3 words: "Help my mom." He stared at it for a long moment. Then he opened the door. The hallway was dim, one flickering bulb fighting against the dark. Near the vending machine stood a little girl, barefoot, shaking, her eyes wide and glistening in the light. She didn't speak. Not because she couldn't, but because she was terrified that someone might hear her. When she saw him, she lifted a trembling finger to her lips, a plea for silence. Then she pointed toward a door across the hall, room 12. Her small hand stayed there for a moment, shaking, before she backed into the shadows near the stairwell, eyes never leaving that door. She wasn't running away. She was waiting to see if anyone would come. Luke looked down at the note again, feeling his heartbeat rise. He'd seen plenty of bad things in his life, but never one he could just ignore. He wasn't a man of faith anymore. But if there was a God still listening, maybe this was how he spoke, not through thunder, not through angels, but through a trembling hand and a note written in crayon. Luke Bennett wasn't the kind of man people smiled at. The leather vest, the road dust, the gray at his temples, they made people cross the street when he walked by. He looked like the kind of man trouble followed. But looks can lie. Once, he'd worn a uniform, not leather. He'd been a Marine, good at following orders, bad at forgetting what he'd seen. War leaves marks you can't wash off, so after the service, he traded the noise of battle for the noise of engines, and started riding until the memories blurred into the horizon. He wasn't part of any club. He rode alone. No patch, no name, just the open road and the sound of wind. Some nights, he'd stop at small diners, and leave a big tip for the waitress who looked tired. Sometimes he fixed a stranger's car without asking for anything. He never stayed long enough for anyone to remember his name. That night, he was just a traveler between places. A man trying to outrun silence. But silence had followed him here. Now, standing in that dim hallway, clutching a note that shouldn't exist, Luke felt something shift inside him. He looked at the door marked room 12. He didn't know who was behind it, but he knew one thing for sure: someone needed help, and he was done walking away from the world. He took a slow breath and stepped forward. Outside, the desert wind whispered through the parking lot, carrying the sound of something about to change forever. Luke's boots were heavy against the hallway floor. Each step echoed like a countdown. He stopped outside room 12. From inside came a man's voice, low at first, then rising into rage. Then came the sound that cut through him, a muffled sob, a plea that wasn't loud enough for the world to hear, but enough to break a man's heart. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again, harder. Still nothing, only the sound of someone shuffling, and a woman gasping for air. He tried the handle. Locked. Then came a sharp metallic click from inside, the bolt turning again, like someone making sure no one could ever come in. Luke took a breath, steadying himself, and dialed 911. "This is the Desert Star Motel off Highway 18, he said quietly. "Domestic violence in room 12. There's a child involved. I'll stay by the door until officers arrive." The dispatcher asked his name. Luke Bennett. Something crashed inside, wood splintering, glass breaking. Then a scream. A woman's voice, hoarse and terrified. Luke's grip tightened around the phone. He didn't wait for another sound. He dropped the phone into his pocket and pounded on the door. "Sir, open the door," he shouted, firm but controlled. "Police are on their way." For a moment, silence. Then a heavy thud, and the unmistakable crack of a slap. That was it. Luke stepped back, then drove his boot into the lock. The frame split, the door burst open. Inside, chaos. A woman lay curled on the carpet, her arm raised to shield her face. A man towered over her, shirtless, drunk, fists clenched, eyes bloodshot. "Step away from her." Luke's voice thundered through the room. The man turned, rage twisting his face. "Who the hell are you?" Luke stood his ground, voice calm but unshakable. "Stop. Before this gets worse." The drunk lunged. Luke moved faster, sidestepped, caught his wrist, twisted and pushed him down onto the bed. One motion. Efficient. Controlled. The man gasped, stunned. Luke didn't hit him. He'd seen enough violence for one lifetime. He turned to the woman. "Ma'am, you're safe now. Stay with me. Help's coming." Her lips trembled, blood at the corner of her mouth. She nodded weakly, tears running freely. Her gaze flicked toward the door. "My daughter," she whispered. Luke looked back into the hall. The little girl was there, half hidden by the wall, trembling, eyes wide. He crouched a little, voice softer. "It's okay, sweetheart. You did the bravest thing anyone could do. Stay right there, okay? Your mom's safe now." She didn't move. Just cried silently, clutching the wall as if it were the only solid thing left in the world. Within minutes, red and blue lights painted the motel windows. 2 officers rushed in. Luke raised his hands calmly, stepping aside. "Suspect's drunk and violent," he said quietly. "She needs medical attention." 1 officer cuffed the man, the other helped the woman outside. Only after they were clear did Luke nod to the girl. "It's over now. Go to your mom." The girl ran, small footsteps echoing in the hallway, and threw herself into her mother's arms. Paramedics arrived soon after. Through the open door, the woman looked back at Luke, her lips trembling, trying to speak. She didn't have to. Luke gave a small nod, the kind that said, "You don't owe me anything." As the sirens faded into the distance, he stepped out into the cool desert air. The night felt different now, heavier, but somehow clearer. He didn't know it yet, but that little girl, and that note, would stay with him for the rest of his life. Morning came slow and gray over the desert. The storm of the night before had left everything unnervingly quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after sirens fade and adrenaline drains away. Luke hadn't slept. He sat outside his motel room, coffee in hand, staring at the horizon as the sun cracked open another day. He told himself he'd leave after breakfast. Just get back on the road. That was what he always did. Move on before the world could ask who he was or why he cared. But the sound of police radios carried faintly through the air. Down by the motel office, 2 squad cars were still parked. Their lights off now, engines idling. Luke figured they were finishing reports. He didn't plan on talking to anyone. He strapped his duffel bag onto the back of his motorcycle, checked the straps, and was about to put on his gloves when he heard a small voice behind him. "Mr. Luke," he froze. Turning slowly, he saw the little girl from the night before, standing near the vending machine, holding a brown paper bag in both hands. Her hair was brushed now, her face washed, but her eyes still carried shadows too old for her age. Beside her stood a young female officer, watching quietly. Luke straightened up, unsure what to say. "Hey there, kid," he said softly. "You okay?" The girl nodded, clutching the paper bag like it was precious. "Mom made you breakfast," she said. "She wanted to say thank you, but the doctor said she should rest. So she asked me to give you this." Luke hesitated, then took the bag gently. It was warm. Inside, wrapped in foil, was a simple egg sandwich and a handwritten note. The same blue crayon. The same shaky letters. Only 2 words this time: "Thank you." Luke stood there a moment longer than he should have, staring at the note like it was something sacred. The officer spoke up, her voice calm but sincere. "You did a good thing last night, sir. The woman's stable. The guy's in custody. Probably won't see daylight for a long time. She told us you saved her life." Luke shook his head. "Nah, he said quietly. Her little girl did. I just answered the call. The officer smiled faintly, as if she understood. Still, she said, people don't always answer. Luke looked down at the paper bag again. The warmth had already started to fade, but something inside him hadn't. He crouched down to the girl's level. You did the right thing, sweetheart, he said. You were brave when it mattered most. Don't ever forget that. The girl's eyes filled with tears, but this time, they weren't from fear. She whispered, Mom said you were an angel. Luke gave a small, tired smile. Nah, he said, standing up. Just a man trying to make it through the day. He looked at the officer. You'll make sure they're okay, she nodded. They've got a safe place. Social services is already helping. And the community's reaching out. Seems folks around here care more than they thought. Luke nodded slowly. For once, he didn't feel like running. He looked out across the highway, miles of empty road waiting for him, then back at the small figure clutching the paper bag. Sometimes, the road could wait. He handed her his biker patch, a small leather emblem sewn with a faded wing, and said quietly, Keep this, so you remember that courage comes in all sizes. Her hands shook as she took it. Thank you, she whispered. Luke started the engine. The roar of the motorcycle filled the silence, deep and low. The girl stood there, one hand clutching the patch, the other waving goodbye. As Luke rode off into the morning light, he saw her reflection in his mirror, a little girl who believed, and a man who, for the first time in a long while, almost believed too. A month later, the desert looked different. Maybe it was the light, softer somehow. Or maybe it was just Luke. He'd spent weeks back on the road, trying to leave that night behind, the screams, the sirens, the small hand that had passed him a note. But some stories don't stay behind you. They ride with you. That morning, he stopped at a small roadside diner, Harper's Diner, a place with faded curtains, and a homemade pies sign barely hanging on. He just wanted coffee and a quiet corner. But when he stepped inside, he froze. Behind the counter, refilling mugs with a steady smile, was the woman from room 12. Her bruises were gone now. Her hair was tied back, her posture strong. There was a peace in her eyes that hadn't been there before, the kind that comes only when fear finally lets go. Luke almost turned to leave, not wanting to intrude. But she saw him, her hand stilled on the coffee pot. Then she smiled, slow, uncertain, but real. Luke, she said, her voice catching. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. He hesitated, then walked to the counter. I wasn't sure I'd come back here, he admitted. She laughed softly through tears. Officer Ridd told me your name. I wanted to thank you, but I didn't know how. You already did, Luke said gently. You got back up. That's what matters. For a while they just stood there, two people bound by one night of chaos and courage. Then a small voice broke the silence. Mom, is that him? Luke turned. At the corner booth, the little girl was sitting with a pile of crayons and napkins. When he nodded, her face lit up like the morning sun. A moment later, she ran across the diner, clutching a piece of paper in both hands. Wait, she called. I made you something? She held it up proudly, a child's drawing in blue and red crayon. It showed a man in a leather jacket, with wings behind him, standing beside a woman and a little girl holding hands. Across the top, written in uneven letters, Thank you, my angel. Luke knelt down, the rough leather of his jacket creasing softly. That's beautiful, he said, his voice low. I'll keep it with me. Always, the girl grinned, a front tooth missing, her joy unfiltered. So you don't forget us, she said. Luke smiled, small, genuine, the kind that comes after years of silence. I couldn't, he said, not in a million miles. As he stepped outside, the sound of laughter drifted through the open door, a mother and daughter laughing together. Luke looked down at the drawing one last time, then folded it carefully, and slipped it into the inside pocket of his jacket, close to his heart. The engine rumbled to life, steady and deep. He rode off beneath a pale morning sky, a quiet smile still lingering on his face. Some roads heal more than they break, And sometimes the smallest hands leave the biggest marks. Out on the open highway, the wind carried the scent of dust and rain. Luke rode with one hand on the throttle, the other resting lightly over the pocket where the drawing lay. Sometimes, he glanced down at it not to remember, but to remind himself that some nights don't fade, they live on quietly inside you. He thought about the note that started it all. Just a few words, written by a trembling hand. Help my mom. It wasn't a cry for help from a stranger. It was a spark, one that reached the heart of a man who'd stopped believing in second chances. That night didn't just save a mother and a child, it saved him too. Because somewhere between the broken neon lights of that motel and the quiet laughter in Harper's diner, Luke found something he hadn't known he'd lost: faith. Not the kind you find in books or sermons, but the kind that grows when people choose to care, even when no one's watching. He once believed the world had grown too cold, too cruel to change. But now he knew, kindness still lived out there, hidden in dusty diners, in small hands, in moments when no one else steps forward. And maybe that's what redemption really is. Not erasing your past, but letting one good act echo louder than all your mistakes. So if you ever see a biker on the road, leather jacket, weathered eyes, maybe a story or two behind every scar, remember this: not all angels have wings. Some ride Harleys and carry drawings folded near their hearts. If this story touched you, share it, so more people remember that kindness still exists, even in the quietest corners of the world. And if you believe the world could use a little more hope, a little more compassion, then subscribe to Heartwarming Stories, where every story reminds us that small acts can still change lives. Thank you for listening. Until next time, ride safe and keep your heart open.